big clamp under the bench. I found it with my knee. Oh, this wasn't my dodgy knee. On the cubman to-do list, I've got to make a new one of these. It's got to take the carby from above up here where it will stick straight through the bonnet, and I don't really want that. I have to make it fit down here. So to do that, I've got to make a new pipe and 2 new flanges. So what this video is about is how to template your flanges, because well, some of them, like this side, it's symmetrical, so it's quite easy to measure up and mark out. The one on the other side though, the main hole is offset. So just going to go through a couple of quick ways of templating so that it's easier. Now, I'm actually using a much larger carby. I've gone from a 19 to a 26 because that's what's recommended for these engines to get them to really work. So I'm going to be taking a template off this side and one to match the engine because I want it to be port matched. Now, absolute easiest way is if you have a gasket. You just take the gasket, set it on there, mark your holes, and you're done. We're going to pretend we don't have a gasket. I'll just put that aside. So, one method, the tape method. It's best if you can do it with just one piece of tape, but having 2 layers can really help. And you need a sharp knife and you just cut around it. So it's easy to cut the large hole with a knife, but the smaller holes on each side, drill bit. Now, because I've already done the edge, I did make a mess. I'm just going to drill it backwards, so it doesn't take, it just falls in. So what I did there was put the drill bit in, spin it backwards, and the hard edge just cut through the paper. So you don't want to spin it the right direction, it'll just grab the tape and rip it all apart. So once you got it all cut out, very carefully pull it off. Then you can very carefully lay it out on your material. So then you can just trace around it. Where you go. You can trace around where you need to go, and it's fairly accurate. So the other thing is to drill the holes, you've got to find the centers. On these smaller holes it's fairly easy just to pick a spot and think, yep, that's fairly close to the center. But on the larger hole, it's a little bit more difficult to find the center. So, templates or washers. So it's fairly easy to sit him down and find it. If you get one with a 6mm or 1/4 inch hole in the center, it's fairly easy to find the center and mark it. So that's one method. I've got that marked out. That should be good enough to cut out and make a flange. Well, we will now have a look at another method, which is paper. Helps if the paper's clean and fresh, but just put the paper over the piece, dirty fingers, and that will then transfer a template that's really accurate. So now that we've got that, we can go along, we can use our washer, mark where he is. With that one, you can mark where your holes are. I use the washer method again to get the centre of the large hole. So now what we'd do, we'd put that over our piece of aluminium, fold the edges, make sure it's a fairly good spot, and then get the centre punch and just punch the dots on the paper. That'll give you your marks to drill, and that's the main thing to start with. That's two simple methods. That is really accurate. I use that often. The other method is just marking it out. So what we do there is just work out where the holes are going. Unfortunately, this one, the main center hole is offset, so we just got to calculate how far offset. So I've just drawn a quick mud map, and I will just write all my dimensions on here, and then I can mark it out onto the sheet. So first thing is how far apart these holes are. Now when you've got two holes, it's not very accurate to try and line the center of the ruler up with the center of each hole. So the best option is just slide across and measure from the edge of this hole to the same edge on this hole, and that will give you an exact hole center. If you go from the inside edge to the inside edge, well, that's a mistake. You'll have trouble, things won't be right. So make sure you go to the same sides of both holes. So it's 48 millimeters, this one. So hole center to hole center is 48. Now we just need to work out how far below or how far above the center line of this hole these ones are. So if I just put a straight edge across the top edge of the holes, from the top edge of this holes to the bottom of that is 19 millimeters. So from there to there, that's 19. If we take off the 3 millimeters, because that's a 6 millimeter hole, that drops that back down to 16. And then, so from the center of this hole to the top edge is 16 millimeters. This is a 26 millimeter hole. So that, once we take off half of that, which is the 13, so it's 13 millimeters there. So we take that off from the 19, that leaves us with 3 millimeters. So the center of this hole and the center of this hole are only 3 millimeters offset. Does that make sense? Anyway, let's mark it out. So now that I know them, it's easy to draw it out onto the piece of aluminium. Just going to draw one here. So using the measurements we just took. Alright, so 26 mil hole, so 13 millimeters plus 7, it's about 20 mil. First line we mark is 20 mil. And then taking 3 mil off that, Alright, so that gives us our two lines, the difference of hole centers. Now, overall width, 60. Putting our center line there, that's 30mm in. So that gives us the spot where the big hole is going to go, and it also gives us the center point to mark out each side for these small holes. So that's 48, so we've got to go 24mm each side of the main hole. That gives us our 3 marks for where the holes are going, something like that. Or you can put the carbby over it, line up the 2 holes. And that gives us our template for cutting it out. For one that's a symmetrical flange, it's really simple. All we do, draw a line, pick a point. That's 45. So we just put a mark 45 and one halfway at 22.5. That's our 3 hole centers. Symmetrical flanges, really easy. Don't really even need to template them. So after I've done that, I could just put that on there, line up these 2 holes with the marks on the plate, and great. If I get my gasket, put my gasket down there, marks are perfect, outside shape, very close, so you don't always need a template. Hope that's some useful information. It's something I just do. I don't even think about it. It's not really that daunting. Even when it is a weird shape, using straight edges to measure from, drawing everything out makes it really easy to understand. So I'm going to drill these holes, cut these out, and that's going to be part of the next cubman video, which I was actually filming before I decided to make this one. Alright, that's it for today's video. As always, customize everything.